Hello, everyone. Rob Guest from football.london here, and welcome to the latest episode of Gold Guest Talk Tottenham, sponsored by NordVPN. Joining me today, it's Lee Wilmot, a very happy Lee Wilmot after last night's win.
A very happy Lee Wilmot, yes, which hasn't happened on that many occasions this season as a Spurs fan, has it? But yeah, very, very happy after last night's performance. I'm stepping in because Ali's with the man himself, Ange Postecoglou, at his press conference today. So, yeah, you've got me instead. Unfortunately, everyone listening out there, switch off now if you hate my voice.
Yeah, well, to be honest, we weren't sure what time Ange's presser was going to be. They always tend to be early ones after a European game, but today it's back to the usual 1 p.m. slot, so that makes it a bit difficult for Ali to join us on today's podcast, and he's missing out on the 200th episode as well.
200th? Oh, I haven't got any streamers out. I haven't got any balloons or anything. Why didn't you tell me?
Well,
I say, why didn't you tell me? I'm the boss of Football London. I should probably know this myself, shouldn't I?
Well, according to Cash, our producer, is the 200th, so we'll go with it. So at least we've got a win to talk about anyway.
Exactly.
Tottenham's 3-1 win over AZ Alkmaar on Thursday night. Spurs heading into the second leg of the Europa League round of 16 tie, 1-0 down. Huge amount of pressure on Ange, given the past few results in the league and, last week's really bad showing in the Netherlands. But it was chalk and cheese difference between last Thursday and yesterday in N17. Spurs on it from the first whistle, aggressive in their play, taking the game to AZ, and they could have probably scored more than 3 on the night.
Absolutely. I was working on the site pretty much on my own yesterday because of the Spurs game in the evening and the Chelsea game in the evening. 4 of you guys were kind of on a late shift, so I was working the site on my own, and my son came home from college just after lunchtime and said, "How are you feeling about today's game?" And I went, "I've not really thought about it because I've been so busy at work, but now you've mentioned it, yes, I'm getting a little bit nervous now, but I didn't really need to be nervous. There were a few minor occasions, I think, during the second half, but in the main, there weren't too many nerves last night. I think it was a pretty comfortable performance from Spurs, a really, really good professional performance. Tried to get on the front foot. A little bit of help with the first goal in terms of we were controlling the possession, but they were in that low block and had their banks of 4, AZ and RZ, as they love to say it in the commentary. But yeah, once that first goal went in, there weren't too many nerves after that. And yes, just great to see the players back out there, the kind of first team players, and great to put in that kind of performance. As I say, a couple of little moments which I think will be ironed out in the weeks to come as the players get up to speed a bit more. But yeah, really delighted with that. How did you see it?
Well, I thought the first goal was always going to be key to the tie, because I'd have been worried if AZ had scored first, because then that just puts a huge amount of pressure on Spurs to come from behind in the tie and do that. So, yeah, the first goal, I mean, prior to that, Spurs had a lot of the ball but didn't really test the AZ keeper. But all came about from a bit of a weird bit of play from the visitors, deciding to play the ball back. It was a mishit ball into the corner. While to Ghost, the defender then tries to turn out, play the ball down the line, and it's excellent pressing from Son to win the ball off him. Falls kindly to Dom Solanke in the box, who does the rest by putting the ball on the plate for Wilson Odobert, who sweeps the ball home for his first Tottenham goal. No time for celebrations. They immediately went to get the ball off the keeper, and after that, really looked to kick on even more and score. And add to that scoreline. I think Sonny had an opportunity straight at the keeper, had one with a run into the box, and then Lucas Bergvall killed one over. And then second half, I think AZ actually started okay, had a chance, but then Spurs just went straight up the other end, crucially gave themselves that 2-goal cushion on the night through James Maddison. And yeah, as I was saying at the start of the pod, had a number of opportunities to go on and extend the scoreline, but typical Tottenham fashion, made life a bit difficult for themselves, set up a bit of a nervy finale with a bit of a mix-up at the back. Cooper Minus scoring a really good goal to halve the deficit, level it on aggregate. And then obviously Spurs going upfield, scoring that probably got to be one of the goals of the season from the Tottenham perspective. Anyway, still left themselves a bit open at the back. AZ having chances, but yeah, thankfully Spurs got the job done to set up a quarter-final tie against Eintracht Frankfurt. So when you're looking at the previous game in the Netherlands, Spurs just were at the races at all, failed to lay a glove on. AZ deservedly lost. Perhaps lucky to come into the second leg tie, only being 1 goal behind because, Troy Parrott had chances in that game to add to the scoreline. But yeah, they got the job done. That's the main thing. And it was a really good performance to go with it.
Yeah, it was nice to see kind of, given how this season's gone and the kind of the luck that's deserted Ange and the team this season, it was nice to get that little bit of luck with the first goal. And it's not luck in terms of Sonny pressing and winning the ball high, but the luck was that the ball spanned the way of Dom Solanke rather than going out for a throw-in or anything like that. And you could see on the touchline, Ange was particularly impressed with Son and that the press that he put in there to win that ball back high up the pitch. I thought Son was excellent last night. Yeah. Really kind of back to his best on the night. Probably could have had a goal. Maybe a little bit too selfish on occasion when he could have played passes rather than taking shots on. But yeah, I thought he was brilliant and led from the front as the captain should do. And then second goal really good from James Maddison. Son kind of laying it off to him. And the third one, yeah, you say there, one of the goals of the season, probably just outstanding, playing out from the back. That is Ange ball as it should be played. You'll have many fans talking about, oh, it's too risky, it puts your heart in the mouth. But when it works, you just see how good it is. I don't know how quick that was, playing out from the back and getting the ball into the RZ 18-yard box. Unreal, really. Just incredible football. And you wonder sometimes where that's been all season, don't you?
Oh, you do, yeah, because they've certainly got the ability to go from one end of the field to the other and score. But I think what was key last night was just getting the senior stars back in the team, because the last time Ange had the leadership quartet of Vicario, Romero, Son and Maddison in his starting 11 was October the 19th in the 4-1 win over West Ham. The 4 of them did play the following month against Ipswich, but they were only on the pitch for a matter of minutes because Maddison came on with, I think, about 5 or 6 minutes to go. And I mean, in this 5 months since that win over West Ham, these players have all spent spells in the treatment room. You've been relying on the youngsters in the team, Lucas Bergvall, Archie Gray, really stepping up during that period. But there's not been the senior stars there to rely on and, help get Spurs over the line. And all 4 of them last night were brilliant. I know there was that scare just prior to the second goal when Vicario tried to do the Cruyff turn in his own box and, almost went completely wrong, let them back into the game. But he made a crucial save towards the end. Ibasuma chipped in off the bench with that block as well. I think it was DeWitt who was following in from Parrott's shot, which Vicario palmed out. But I think just having like Romero at the back was massive, and Van der Ven, because they've not started together since the Chelsea defeat in early December. And Spurs just looked so much stronger at the back. And Ange said in his post-match interviews that defensively, that's probably one of the best showings of the season. They didn't really let them have an opportunity. And I mean, Romero was bang up for it as well. That challenge on Moller Wolf, I think it was, on the halfway line.
Yeah.
To then come away with the ball and get Spurs moving forward. But the incident with Troy Parrott, when Spence nicks the ball off Parrott goes to ground, Spence then moves forward and Romero decides to turn around and scream in his face. This is his former teammate as well. I think they'll have probably just spent a couple of pre-seasons together because of Parrott's loan spells, but I don't think it matters who it is with Romero. He will scream in anyone's face.
No prisoners, no friends. He doesn't care, does he? But yeah, that challenge on halfway, I was sat there and like, oh no, don't do that, don't. Oh, okay, well done. It was it's the classic Romero, isn't it? Go sliding and thinking you can win the ball, and he got it right. He won the ball, and yeah, you're absolutely right. He was well up for it, and it's no surprise, is it, that Ange comes out and says it's one of the best defensive performances of the season when he's got Mickey van der Ven and Cristian Romero at the back in the heart of the defence for the first time in God knows how long.
Yeah, since the start of December, and I thought Van der Ven was really good on the night. Obviously substituted on 60 minutes. I think that's quite clearly just in terms of his fitness, just building him up because he'd got 30 minutes the previous week against Bournemouth, and he's one of those, given his previous injury issues, you just don't want to push him too much too soon, and he ends up back in the treatment room because he's such a key player. So I think over these next 3 Premier League games, it'll just be about building up his minutes again, getting him back to those fitness levels. And yeah, with him and Romero in the team for the Eintracht Frankfurt quarterfinals, I think Van der Ven's importance to the team, could be seen in the second half. There was that moment when I think it was Ernest Poku went through on goal, used his pace to get away from, I think it was Djed Spence, and looked set to test Guglielmo Vicario in goal, but Van der Ven, pace, we know how quick he is. He just came in, nipped in, really, really good challenge in the box. And then a few minutes later, he went off. Archie Gray came on, and I think it was about 2-3 minutes after that when AZ got back into the game.
That was the worst thing about when he went off, wasn't it? Yeah. That we conceded so soon after, and you're thinking, oh God, he's off the pitch now. And that the Poco, as you say, had the pace that was a bit of a worry. But I think Djed Spence in the second half showed maybe once or twice that he could keep up with Poku. And I think Archie Gray did a good job as well when in kind of keeping up with him as well. So it wasn't too much to worry about.
No, I think, again, that just shows the importance of Van der Ven and his pace at the back. But like I said, it's just managing his minutes at the moment, just making sure you're not pushing him too much. But it's just great to have those players back in the team because they make such a difference. And I thought, a bit further forward, I thought James Maddison was really, really good last night. It was a game where you really needed to step up to the plate and be a creative force for Tottenham, because that wasn't the case a week ago when they do miss Decky when he's not in the team. Someone who can pick out a pass, eye for a ball. But I thought Maddison was brilliant, got the goal his performance deserved. Really well worked goal as well. Started with Porro nicking the ball on the halfway line, Odobert with a direct run, nice link-up play between Maddison and Son. And he finishes it off, and Sonny was excellent. Again, I think, as you were saying, it was a night where you needed your captain, your senior stars to step up. And he more than did that. Things didn't quite go his way, I'd probably say, prior to the first goal. But after that, a number of driving runs forward. And I think there was that moment in the second half we played the really good 1-2 with Pat Matasar in the box. Looked like they were going to be in again, but his touch just let him down. But on the whole, really, really good showing from Son, the senior stars, and everyone, really. I don't think you can fault anyone last night.
No, I don't think so. And you're right to talk about that kind of those 4 in the leadership group and not having them. Vicario, we know, is a reliable goalkeeper and will always lead from the back. But Romero being well up for it and really on it last night. Son having a great game. Maddison leading and being that creative influence. It makes a huge difference to how Tottenham play and how Ange wants to play. If you've got those 4 leading by example and showing what needs to be done, then the rest follow suit. The problem we've had in previous weeks and months is that everyone's been looking to the likes of Djed Spence and Lucas Bergvall and Archie Gray to kind of pull things out of a hat and be the ones, and we shouldn't be relying on those guys to kind of, those young players new to the team and new to the squad to kind of to lead the way for us. It needs to be the 4 that we've just spoken about, and they did that last night, and hopefully they can do it for the rest of the season now.
I know a lot are talking about having the senior stars back in, the 4 players we've just mentioned, but someone else I think who has come in for a lot of praise, Ange mentioned him as well, it's Dominic Solanke. He makes such a difference in the final third for Spurs when he's there, because they've missed him so much. Just someone with that physical presence up front, someone that can hold up the ball, press the defence, someone who just keeps running from the very first minute to the last minute. He just has a huge influence in the final third for Spurs and key role in the first and third goals last night.
I was a bit harsh on him because right at the end, when there was already 2 minutes of injury time played, the ball went up to him in the centre circle and he brought it down brilliantly and then lost it. And I thought, oh God, Dom, you're better than that. You can hold that ball better up. And I'm thinking, he's just played 92 minutes. He's only just come back from injury. I'm probably being a bit harsh. But yeah, he was really good. And I think you, Ali, myself on pods this season, we've all waxed lyrical about what he brings to the team and the work rate and the effort that he puts in. And perhaps the goal return hasn't quite been there, but we're still amazingly second top scorers in the Premier League despite the league position. So as long as he's contributing in the way that he is, like he did last night in the assist for Odobert, 2 assists for Odobert, wasn't it?
It
Both
was.
One nice pass to him when he could have shot himself for the first goal, and then a nice flick for the beautiful flick for the third goal, which turned out to be the clincher. Really, yeah. I'd love to see him score a few more, but what he brings to the team, kind of filling in that Harry Kane shaped hole, has been nothing short of outstanding, really.
Yeah, he quite literally just takes Tottenham to the next level. Not just the attack, the whole team as well. Spurs are so much better for having him in the side, and it was a huge miss during his time in the treatment room, some key games as well. And if Solanke was fit, then results probably would be different. Spurs would be higher up the Premier League table, but just not to be the case. And thankfully, that knock he received against AZ one week ago wasn't a serious one, because it did look like it at the time. But yeah, he's a brilliant player, and maybe doesn't get the praise he deserves from outside of the club. I think he's probably come more to the attention of people this season because he's at Spurs now rather than Bournemouth, but I still think he's probably underappreciated by a lot of people outside of Tottenham.
Has got an England call up today though, so appears to be appreciated by the new England boss Thomas Tuchel, which is not the case for a certain other player in the squad.
No, we will come on to that towards the end of the podcast, because it is a bit of a talking point. Some of his squad selections to say, but at least Dom is in there. Someone else who was fantastic last night, Wilson Odobert. What did you make of his performance?
He's been quiet. It was harsh to say quietly. He's making an impression in the last few weeks, isn't he? When he's come back from his injury and coming back in without getting the kind of the rewards that his exciting direct play deserves, and he got the rewards last night. It was nice to see the players kind of pushing him towards the fans last night. He clearly didn't want to. Clearly, we kind of wanted to keep his head down and think, well, it's not me. It's the team. He enjoyed his night, and with the couple of goals that he got, and there was a big smile on his face afterwards. But yeah, didn't want to be thrust in front of the fans. But I think it was Basuma and was it Sarr that kind of pushed. Yeah, pushed him in front of the fans. That's great to have that little moment with the fans. Or the stand was emptying out at that point, but there were still people there applauding. So yeah, he's been a kind of breath of fresh air, which we were waiting to see from the start of the season when he came in from Burnley, and then was curtailed by that injury. So yeah, hopefully he can have a good end to the season. And I think it's what we're all looking at. We're all looking at these players that have got minutes under their belt, these teenagers, Odobert. We hopefully will see a little bit more from Tell before next season. Bergval's been outstanding. We'll talk about him in a bit more depth in a minute. Archie Gray. There's 4 outstanding teenagers there that have probably played more than they would have expected to this year. But we will see the fruits of it next season. I think they will really come to the fore and be better off for this experience this season. It's been a poor season for Spurs. There's no getting away from that, and no one's happy with where we are in the league. We could end it with, as Andrew said, it could be a special season if he goes all the way to the Europa League final. Frankfurt's going to be a difficult quarterfinal first, of course, but I think we'll be so much better next season for these players having had the experience they've had this year. if you think that if we'd had the first team squad available this year and they've got minutes here and there, you're probably still looking at bedding them in again next season and giving them minutes here and there before they become first team regulars. They're now first team regulars by circumstance, by default. And I think they're all amazing players as well. I think they're going to be brilliant in the Premier League. So it's potentially exciting for next season. I think people have got to kind of take their mind to next season and think about what good could come next season, and just try and not forget about this season, because we've still got something to play for, thankfully, but just get this season out of the way and think about how good it could be.
Yeah, I think for Odobert, it's just been such a frustrating campaign to date, because signed from Burnley, I thought it was brilliant on his debut against Everton in August, was in the team for a few games after that. Then it was just that hamstring injury at Coventry, then a bit of a freak, another injury on his return against RZ in the last couple of minutes of that league phase game. But I think in the past few games, you can see, his place in Andrew's thinking, because he started 3 of the 4 last games for Tottenham, some key ones as well. And there's some really good players out wide. Matisse Tell, Brennan Johnson were on the bench last night. So that really shows how highly the Ange rates Odobert. And as you mentioned, I think in the past few games, I think he's looked good going forward, but maybe not got what he deserves in terms of assists, goals, making an impact in the final third. But last night was the moment he's been waiting for in a Tottenham shirt, and it was just great to see him have that impact, because someone needed to step up last night and help get Spurs over the line, and a number of players did that. First goal, really good finish. And the third one, in the right place at the right time to finish off what was a fantastic move. And after the game, it's just brilliant, those scenes with Bissouma and Sarr pushing Odobert to the front of the South Stand, very similar to Richarlison, the Sheffield United game.
Yep.
First few months of Andrew's season, I think it was September 2023. But, you can see how much Odobert's liked in terms of his teammates, because after he scored that second one, his second, he was mobbed by a few of them. Pat Matasar coming in, slapping him on top of the head, giving him a couple of digs in his ribs as well. Then he went straight up to the sidelines. I think it was Bissouma, Johnson and Tell there. Then after the game again, Bissouma and Sarr just pushing him in front of the South Stand, making sure he gets the flowers he deserves. And the likes of Decky, Dragusin, Danzo, Kinski and Richarlison were on the sideline waiting for him as well to, congratulate him after the game. It was a really big moment in his Tottenham career, and I think there's so much more to come from him. He's a really exciting player.
Do you know what will probably get missed as well, because of the way we conceded the goal that we did? He worked back and won that ball back on the edge of the box. And yes, Bergvall shouldn't have passed the ball at him to give Koop Miners the opportunity for a shot, but he worked back, won the ball back, and had it not been for a kind of a silly mistake, we'd have been back on the front foot again from what he did. So he's not afraid to do the work, put the hard yards in, working backwards as well.
No, he's not. He's a good player. I think we're gonna see a lot more from him now. It's a start. That was only his 11th appearance for Spurs.
Yeah,
that just shows you what a season it's been for him in terms of the injuries. But yeah, really, really good. Really a big positive last night for Spurs. Before we talk about a few more things from last night's game, Lee's going to tell us about the benefits of using NordVPN. Big shoes to fill now.
I do, yeah. I'd never managed to fill Ali's shoes, do I? But we'll go for it anyway. So if you're not aware by now, and let's face it, if you're not, where have you been? Why have you not been listening to us more regularly? The Gold Guest Talk Tottenham podcast is sponsored by NordVPN, and you can use the service in a host of different ways to enhance your internet experience. NordVPN is the fastest VPN in the world, and that means there's no buffering, no lagging, and you can stream your favorite shows from anywhere in the world without your bandwidth throttling. You can use Nord to set your device to thinking it's back in the UK and just watch them as normal. Not only that, but the outlay on the NordVPN subscription is a lot cheaper for you in the long run, and that's because you can purchase streaming services in other countries at a much cheaper rate. For example, you can change your virtual location to the USA or maybe anywhere in the world, to be fair, and book flights from there. Security-wise, it's a great system for pretty much going as far as you possibly can to stop people stealing things off your device if you connect to a public Wi-Fi too. It's such a clever app that you can install on any device that you've got, quite frankly, and is very easy to set up. There's a whole host of other benefits from signing up to NordVPN, so why not give it a go? To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/goldguest. Our link will also give you 4 months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, and the link is in the episode description box. And we get quite a few people. Ali messages me all the time saying he gets quite a few messages about people signing up thanks to what they've heard from the pod. So, yeah, it's great to use.
Yeah, just sign up.
Yeah.
That's all we can say, really. Back onto last night's game then. I think it's only fair we get to talk about Lucas Bergvall now, who was excellent once again. What did you make of his showing?
What a player. What a player this boy is turning out to be. Again, one of those ones that I've said probably wasn't expecting to play as much this season, but I'm glad he has done. He's kind of first choice in the midfield at the minute, really, isn't he? I don't. Maddison was good last night, obviously, but I think he's got to be the first name in that midfield. He just gives everything every single week, 100%. Yes, he might make a few fouls, but that's what you expect from a central midfield player. So good on the ball, always wants it. So good on the turn, can play through the lines, wants to get forward. Yeah. Just unbelievable. Blot on the copybook was that the goal, obviously, which I don't know what he was trying to do. I think someone on commentary said he was trying to play it back to Vicario, maybe. All he needed to do was just keep hold of the ball and play it forward, really. I don't know why he tried to play it first time backwards and gave us all a little bit of a scare with RZ getting back into the game. But you can't take away from what he's been doing in the last few weeks and months in the absence of senior players. He's just been incredible and deserves his spot in the first team. And yeah, even with players coming back, shouldn't be being dropped for anyone, I don't think.
No, he's near the top of the midfield pecking order now. I think he's pretty much guaranteed a place in Tottenham's first team. He's been fantastic since early December when his minutes have, really increased because of the lack of options in there. And I think we're probably running out of superlatives to describe him at the moment. That showing last night got to be one of his best in the Tottenham shirt. He's just key in the middle of the park, gets his foot in, gets Spurs moving forward, and he was playing in a bit of a deeper role last night as the number 6. What else can you say about him? He's just been absolutely fantastic.
He was playing in the 6, but he's shown he can play in the 8, and I think he could probably even play in the 10 as well. I think he's that good. He's got that array of talent and ability. I think he fit anywhere across that midfield.
Yeah, he's got so much in his locker, and this is probably just the start of things to come for him in the Tottenham shirt, because you've got to remember this is his debut season. It's always going to take him probably 6 months or so to get used to the pace and the intensity of the Premier League, and yeah, he's just been unbelievable for Tottenham. A rare shining light in what has been a dismal season, certainly in the Premier League. The domestic cup competition's going out early, but yeah, he's got to be in contention. You think for what, Premier League Young Player of the Year, maybe?
You'd like to think so, but given Spurs' season, probably not. I'm not sure the powers that be would look that far down the table and look at him that way. But I think we can all see as Spurs fans and an Everton fan that watches Spurs every week. I think you can see the talent that he's got, and with a better season under our belts, hopefully next season, absolutely. I wouldn't have any issues with him being nominated for Young Player of the Year award. I just don't know whether people will look at that with what we 13th, 14th in the league.
I mean, it is usually you look at the top teams, because look who wins the PFA Player of the Year award. It's usually whichever team wins the title. But I'd like to think he would be in the conversation even if he isn't nominated, because he has been that good.
I think anytime Spurs are on telly, I think you hear the pundits and the likes of your Jamie Carragher's and your Alan Shearer's and this, that, and the other. They always talk about how good he's been and how well regarded he is. So yeah, you never know, but quite happy for him to fly under the radar and no one else to look at him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think everyone will say the same as well. And there was he's in the Sweden senior squad for this month's games. Coming up, I think they've got Luxembourg and Northern Ireland in the friendlies. 4 international caps so far. Not started for Sweden yet, the senior side, but you'd imagine that opportunity will arise this month. Yondal Thomason was speaking about him because he held his press conference following the squad confirmation, and he'd mentioned that he has been talking to Johan Lang regularly about Bergvall and his development, and apparently Lang said to him the last player to come from Scandinavia and play so many games in his debut season was Daniel Agger at Liverpool, and I think that was around 2005, 2006. So I think that just shows you the impact he's made at Tottenham since he's come into the team. And yeah, I think Angie's asked about him pretty much every press conference, every post-match press conference, because he's always having such a huge say in the middle of the park for Spurs. And what a signing. And what was it, around 8 million or so, maybe?
8.5 million, yeah. But you like, people talk about players being kind of solid and steady every week. That a guaranteed 6 or 7 out of 10 every week. It feels like Bergvall is a guaranteed 8 out of 10 at least every week at the minute. And yeah, when you sign young players that have kind of come from France or Germany or Italy or Holland or something like that, they've got the kind of the big league background and they kind of know the pace and the intensity of that. We've signed an 18-year-old, he's 19 now. We've signed an 18-year-old from Sweden who'd never played in any of the top 5 leagues. He's been playing his football in Sweden for Djurgården and has just taken to the Premier League like a duck to water. It's just unbelievable the way he's done it and just settled in. It helps, obviously, that he's got English is a good language of his from Sweden, that he can settle in with the team and that. But actually, it staggers me really how good he's been in his first season.
And I think Pep Guardiola said after the recent game at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, he's unstoppable.
Yeah,
and yeah, that's it. He's literally unstoppable for Spurs at the moment. Moving on then, Tottenham's third goal of the night. I think we need to talk a bit more about that because it was that good. I suppose if Man City or Barcelona scored it, you'd never hear the end of it. I think watching it back, I think there's only 2 Tottenham players who were involved in it, and I think it was Bergvall and Sarr. Because
Bergvall wasn't that good then, was he? Come on.
I think it started with Porro playing it back to Romero, then it ended up being Vicario, Gray, Spence, Maddison, then Spence, Son, Spence, Solanke, Odobert. I think that's how it works. And I think we said it at the start of the podcast, that was just Ange Postecoglou's football at his very best, playing the ball out from the back, working it upfield, and yeah, worked it really, really well. One of the key bits in that I liked was Maddison just letting the ball run across him.
Yep.
Getting ahead of his marker, and then again working it really well with Spence, who put in a really good low cross. Solanke, brilliant flick, and Odobert, right place at the right time to make it 3-1 on the night.
I think once you beat the press in an Ange system, once you beat the opposition press, you're away, and Spurs look great. I think a lot of people spoke a lot about that Bournemouth disallowed goal on Sunday and it was extraordinary from Bournemouth, and it wasn't a shame because it was against Spurs. I'm glad it was disallowed, but there was a kind of a sense that it was a bit of a shame that goal was disallowed because it was so good. Bournemouth going from front to back so quickly and scoring that goal. Perhaps because of the way this season's gone, Ange and Tottenham aren't going to get the kind of the credit that Bournemouth have got in the bank under Andoni Iraola and the way they've played football this year. But that third goal was as good as as anything that is going to be scored, I think, this season. As you say, only 2 players missing on making a contribution. Such incredible football from back to front, and deserves to be talked about. And I think we said it at the beginning of the pod. That's what Ange ball is all about. When it comes off, it's brilliant. We just haven't seen it enough this season. Probably down to the players that we've had in those positions to kind of play that football, but. Really, really, really impressive.
Yeah. So Tottenham through to the quarterfinals of the Europa League. Eintracht Frankfurt next up, first leg at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think it's April the 10th, the Thursday, and then the following leg on the 17th in Germany in Frankfurt. Frankfurt going through, I think it was 6-2 on aggregate against Ajax, beating 4-1 on the night, won 2-1 in Amsterdam last week. They're going to be a tough opposition. I think they're going well in the Bundesliga, and they won the Europa League a couple of years ago against Rangers in the final.
They did, yeah. I think I was just going to look there. I think they're third in the Bundesliga table at the minute. Fourth. So they're some way off Bayern on the top. They're 19 points off the top. Somewhat, but I haven't looked at the highlights yet or watched the Ajax game back. I will have a look at that. But the scoreline probably worries a few Spurs fans, I think, doesn't it? Beating Ajax 4-1. I don't think you probably could have picked one or the other from that tie as to who Spurs would come up against if we beat RZ. Would it be Eintracht Frankfurt? Would it be Ajax? Don't really know. And they've gone and smashed them 6-2 on aggregate. So, they won't be an easy proposition. And the ruling, obviously, around the fact that Chelsea are playing on a Thursday as well. They've got the away leg and first, and Spurs have got the home leg, which is a touch frustrating. I'm sure most people would have wanted the home leg second, but that's the way it's worked with UEFA. So, it'll be an interesting couple of games. I'm going to be on holiday for the first leg, so I'll have to find somewhere to be able to watch that the first leg.
Won't you be using NordVPN?
I probably will be, yeah, unless I'm in a bar, which is probably more likely. I will be using NordVPN, yes. But it's going to be an interesting few games. I'm just looking. I think Frankfurt have lost their last 3 games in the league, actually. So that result against Ajax last night probably came out of the blue in terms of their league form. Yeah,
I think they're really strong at home. I think it might only be 1 or 2 they've lost at home in the Bundesliga this season. Got some good players. I think Hugo Ekitike, I think Hugo Larsson, he's regarded highly, the Swedish midfielder. And they've got Michy Batshuayi on the bench as well. I mean, how many clubs has he had now?
Yeah.
So they are going to be a tough team to play against. Just got to get a decent result at home first, and then hopefully can get something away in Frankfurt as well. But
and they've got Mario Götze as well. I saw from scoring a goal last night.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go all the way and win the Europa League, you're going to have to beat some tough teams. And if Spurs manage to get past Eintracht Frankfurt, then it'll be one of Lazio or Bodo Glimt in the semi-finals. So tough one, but if Spurs can play like they did last night in both legs, then you've got to fancy the chances of, beating Eintracht and sealing the place in the final 4 of the competition.
I did look when the draw was made. I did think it was it looked like the more favourable side of the draw, but then now you look at it and think Frankfurt's not easy, and the Lazio's definitely not easy in the semi-finals if we get there. So, it's slightly more favourable perhaps with Bilbao and Sociedad on the other side of the draw, and Lyon. Although Manchester United dispatched Sociedad rather comfortably in the end yesterday. Yeah, it's going to be tough, but as you say, you have to beat the best to lift trophies. As we know, in previous years, we've not been able to beat the best to lift a trophy in God knows how many years. So,
yeah. Moving on then to Thomas Tuchel's England squad that was announced at 9 a.m. this morning. A couple of notable omissions from a Tottenham perspective. No James Maddison. Even though Maddison had spoken a few weeks ago about having a conversation with Tuchel, I think he's basically spoken with a large group of England contenders. Maddison's missed out on the cut, and so has Djed Spence. I think Spence can count himself incredibly unlucky here, because this is at a time when there's no Trent Alexander-Arnold and Lewis Hall as the fullbacks. They're both out through injury. Reece James of Chelsea is in the squad, despite playing a handful of games this season. Miles Lewis-Skelly from Arsenal's in. Spence incredibly unlucky here. I mean, we watch him every week, but he should be in.
That's Chelsea bias from Thomas Tuchel, isn't it? And given his connection to Chelsea, what is Reece James doing in there above Djed Spence? Really, come on. I know Reece James. I've got nothing against Reece James. I think he is a quality player when he's fit. And how often is he fit? He has started to play a few games for Chelsea of late, and has scored a couple of goals, I think, as well. So he is coming back to his best, but I don't get it. Really don't get it. If you do wonder if Djed Spence isn't going to get in now, when will he get in? Given the way he's been playing, he can play on both sides as well. He's clearly shown that. He's been playing on the left rather than his favoured right, with Destiny Udogie out. So he covers both positions. He's even played at centre back this season when he's been called upon. So versatility, don't understand it. Don't understand it at all, and I feel sorry for him. He's not a young man anymore. He has he's come to the party at Spurs late on now after a couple of seasons on loan and looking like he wouldn't make it. But I think it would have been just reward for his performances for Spurs and how he's played this season to get into the England setup for the first time. And I feel bad for him because I don't think he can do much more than what he has done.
No, it's a real shame to be honest, because you're thinking Tuchel's first England squad as manager, he's going to be planning for the future, the World Cup coming up in just over a year's time. But then you've got Kyle Walker in the squad, who's 34, and that had a great season. I don't know how he's done for Milan since he's moved to Italy. And then you've got Dan Burn of Newcastle, who's had a good season, but not exactly one for the future at 32.
And Jordan Henderson is back in there as well. I was all excited about a New England manager coming in, and now let's shake things up and let's do things a bit differently. And he has Miles Lewis-Skelly, and this is no bias from Spurs. I think he absolutely deserves to be in there for Arsenal. I think he's a really exciting prospect. Tino Livramento for Newcastle, I think, really good choice as well. But Jordan, what is Jordan Henderson doing back in there? And I don't understand why Reece James is in there over Djed Spence. And as you say, I don't know what Kyle Walker's been doing in Milan, but he's 34 years old, and is he the future? No. As good as he is.
I don't mind the Henderson call up. I think
Get out.
When you look at it on paper, he's not been playing for Ajax. He's getting on a bit now. But I think England miss his presence in the team. That was evident at the Euros. I think just that leadership, the lack. But I do think you've got to look to the future.
Yeah.
Gibbs White, Elliot Anderson. No one from Forest is in it. It's a bit bizarre, really. But there we go. It is what it is. But I think from a Tottenham perspective, it is, a shame for Spence not to be in there. But it does give him a bit of a chance to rest up now ahead of a crucial period with the Eintracht Frankfurt games coming up, and then Chelsea and Southampton after March's international break. Before then, it's Fulham on the agenda Sunday afternoon at Craven Cottage. Spurs did play Marco Silva's side in West London this time 12 months ago on the end of a 3-0 defeat. Hopefully not the same this time around, but given it is the last game before the international break, would you go with the same team from Thursday night?
I think probably, yeah. I think Van de Ven needs minutes again. It was great for Romero to get 90. Obviously, last night, I wouldn't see any reason why he would be out of the equation, given, well, he hasn't got 2 weeks off because he's going on international duty with Argentina, isn't he? Which is a bone of contention, but there we go. Not with Ange, though. No bone of contention for Ange whatsoever. I think Mickey will probably, they might try and increase it to 70, 75 minutes against Fulham, just to see where he is. Wonder if Archie Gray might be pushed into a bit of a midfield slot. The one potential change that you could make there in giving him a shot in there. Might see Brennan Johnson come in, maybe 2 or 3 that could change. But I think I'd probably go reasonably with what we had on Thursday.
Yeah, I think Udogie will come in at left back for Spence. Yeah. I'd probably bring Bentancur in maybe for Sarr, or Basuma could possibly come in at side with Bentancur over Basuma, to be fair. And then whether there's a change in the front three, but given how Spurs played against RZ, I'd be going with pretty much the same team because they need to be getting points on the board in the Premier League. I think it's 8 and 9 points difference between Spurs and Fulham. Fulham in 10th, so chance to whittle down that lead and just again start building some momentum because there's some key games coming up. Spurs never fare well at Stamford Bridge. That's coming up, I think, a Thursday night, start of April. Southampton at home, you'd expect them to win that, but it would just be nice if Spurs can now get on a bit of a winning run with their senior stars back and go into both Eintracht Frankfurt games in positive mood with wins behind them.
Well, there's no game for 2 weeks, so you've got to think. We've just had a game on Thursday, but you've got to just put everything into it on Sunday. Really go for it, and then you've got 2 weeks to cut. Well, those that are going on international duty haven't got 2 weeks, but they've then come back from international duty and have got a weekend off because we're not in the FA Cup. So put everything into it, try and get a result, and as you say, close that gap on the top half. And it's not massively important in the grand scheme of things where we finish now because there's no danger of getting relegated, and there's no chance of getting into Europe from the Premier League. Daniel Levy will want the extra £2 million from every single place we can finish in the Premier League table, though. So,
yeah, I mean, top half still definitely a possibility. There's, like we're saying, a bit of a big gap, but start building some momentum. You can soon whittle those points down, and like I said, it's just nice to have those senior stars in. The first team actually looks like a first team again, rather than a bunch of kids in there. But no, it was it's just nice to talk about a Tottenham win, and hopefully we'll be doing the same early next week when we're back on the podcast to reflect on Sunday's game against Fulham at Craven Cottage and whatever else Spurs have planned for the international break. So I think we'll leave it there for today's latest episode of Gold Guest Talk Tottenham, the 200th episode. Right, as ever, just keep with us at football.london for all your latest Tottenham news. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/goldguest. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box.